Hey, I'm glad you tuned in to this video because I have a special story that I want to share with you. And I believe this story is going to inspire you, especially if you're trying to accomplish something and you're facing obstacles. Things don't seem like it's panning out the way it should. Things aren't easy, and you're on the verge of wanting to give up, wanting to quit, or you're just confused and don't know what to do. Listen, you want to listen to this story. This is a true story. It's one of my testimonies and I think it's going to bless you. So you most definitely want to watch this video until the end. Walk with me. And listen, before we even get into this story, just to further encourage you to keep moving forward, I want to bless you with this book. I'm gonna give it to you for free if you want it. You just comment book in the comment section. It's called "You Can't Quit Now," and I'm gonna send it to you. Just write book in the comment section, or just click the link in the description of this video. Listen, I want you to hear this story. I was working on my third book, right? And my third book, the devil came in and he distracted me. The book was supposed to come out in 2014, but I got distracted. I have a whole story on that, a whole testimony on that. I'm not gonna go into it now. That's in another video. I'll link it in the description of this video. But I was distracted and I said, man, I know this book must be must be something to this book because the devil's trying everything that he can to get me to not write this book. And unfortunately, I did get distracted. I got off course. I started having doubts. In 2014 turned to 2015, 2016. I still hadn't written the book. And I had been working on it, but I hadn't put it out because I was distracted. And I remember my mother saying, Junior, when you gonna write that book? I said, Mama, don't. I'm working on it, Mama. I'm working on it. And time went by. I'm telling you, it was 4 years later. I'm behind on writing this book. And I know it was the devil distracting me, but I had to get back on track. And I remember my mama saying, Junior, when you gonna write that new book? Mama, I'm working on it. And so it was 2017. And I remember saying, okay, every year at this women's conference, it was this church that had this women's conference every year. And every year I would have a vendor table and I would sell my books, right? And so this was like fall 2017. And I said, you know what? Next year, when I go to this women's conference, I'm going to show up with my third book, my new book. And the book is called Whatever Devil. I said, I'm going to show up with that third book. So I had set a goal. I used that date of that conference as my deadline. I'm going to write that third book, regardless of what it takes by then. No more excuses, no nothing, right? And I remember contemplating, should I get a business loan to help launch the book? Now, with my first two books, I didn't have to get a loan. I used t-shirt sales, money I made from t-shirt sales to launch my book. Money from the first book helped me launch the second book. But remember, it had been 4 years past, and I hadn't, so I didn't have any money reserved to help me launch this book. And I said, man, I didn't want to because I really don't like debt, but this is an investment. I said, so maybe I had to get a business loan to get this book. And especially the last time I talked to my mama, because she was on me the last time I talked to her. She was on me like, when did you go write this book? I said, Mama, calm down. I'm working on it. So December 2017, I was working at a car dealership. I had been there 4 years. And this company was uh, downsizing because they were about to sell the company. And unfortunately, during that time, I got terminated. First time I ever been terminated from a job. It wasn't because of something I did. It wasn't because of something erroneous. It wasn't because of lack of work. It was because they had to downsize and some people had seniority. And so I was like, man, all of these distractions once again. But I said, I'm not going to let that stop me from writing this book. So I'm still working on the book. I found the new job that following January 2018. And I just started the job. And as soon as I started the job, I wasn't even there a week before my mother had a stroke. Follow me. So my mother had a stroke So I had to leave to go to Mississippi because that's where she was living at. And the company let me go, even though I just started, but I didn't have any vacation time or anything. So it was a struggle, man. I was just left from not having a job, no money, and then I'm taking a week off to go see about my mother. And it was a struggle. But I had to do what I had to do. And so I went down there, see my mother, got her to where she was okay. And then I came back and things went on. I continued to work on the book, continued to work on the job. My mother was up and down. She was in and out of the hospital and nursing home. July came, and I was getting closer to that deadline because the the women's conference, I believe, was like at the end of July. I can't remember the exact date, but in the beginning of July, I was at my job. It was a Friday morning, and the managers called me in the office and they said, "Hey, you did good. You helped us break records. We even went from one building to a bigger building, but we went through a hard time and they had to make a decision to cut all of the hourly employees." And I was an hourly employee. I was actually one of the managers. And they said, "Listen, the only thing we have available is this sales position that's straight commission. We love the work you do, but right now we're in a situation we got to cut." I mean, they cut every hourly employee that was in that building. And they said, "We're going to have to let you go unless you want this sales position that was a straight 100% commission." And I really didn't want to get into that. I had just left doing that at my first sales job, and I just really didn't want to do that. But I'm gonna tell you how vision minded I am, how purpose driven I am. Remember, I told you I wanted to get a business loan. 'Cause I'm still working on this first book. I'm not gonna let the devil stop me. I know this is all tactics. I know this is all opposition. But I said, you know what? I said, "Can I let you know Monday about my decision?" He said, "Yes." So remember, it's Friday morning. So I left Friday morning and still got a job, technically, right? Because I gotta let them know Monday if I'm gonna take this salary position or I'm gonna quit. The first thing I went to the bank and applied for business loan because I knew that once I quit, I mean, if I just say I didn't take the commission job, right, and they terminate me, I'm not gonna be able to get a loan without a job, right? So I went there, applied for the loan. They gave me the loan. Once I got the loan, I called the company that Monday and said, "Hey, I don't want that sales commission job." So I was technically terminated. And then I started looking for another job. But I had that money, the business loan, and I went and I launched, through the process of getting the book. Now, there were different things that happened. I'm talking about it was all time is not going to permit me to go into all the distractions and all of the things that was where the devil was trying to stop me from putting out this book. But I was determined I'm not going to let it stop me. And I'm going to have this book by the time that women's conference arrived. But things was getting so out of whack and so messed up and distractions from all over that I didn't even do I don't even think I did pre-sales. This was the first book. Look, my first two books were Amazon bestsellers. My second book was a #1 Amazon bestseller. This third book was the worst launch I've ever had. You'll see why in a minute. But mainly right now because I was scared to do pre-sales because I didn't want to take people's money and then the book, don't come out to another 6 months or so. And I wasn't even sure if I was going to have the book to go to this women conference. So I hope you follow me. Stay with me. Stay with me. But through prayer and just trusting God, let me tell you something that I'll never forget. I remember about to go to this women's conference. It was the day of the women's conference. And I said, you know what, I'm just gonna have to just sell my own the first two books that I had, because I already had to pay for the vendor table. It's the day of the event. And I'm tell you what, that truck came literally minutes before I was about to leave. I mean, I had my car packed with the books already. When that truck came, I was literally taking the new book from the delivery truck and putting them in my car. That's how timely it was. So you got to know that I see God in this. Like, oh man, listen, right as soon as I was about to leave, I'm loading the car. I'm taking the boxes from the truck to the car. So I went to this women's conference and I sold my books. Finally, I see some light. Finally, I see some grace. Finally, things are looking right and going up right. And I had a good time. And this became my launch party, I guess you could say, at this vending table. And I sold a lot of books. When I got home that day, I got a phone call. The phone call was from my family in Mississippi. And they said, Junior, your mother's not doing too good. Some of her organs are shutting down. You need to come home. So when I got home, 2 days later, I was headed to Mississippi. Book is available, but I ain't get to promote it like I normally do. I ain't get to do any of that because I got to go see about my mama. So I was on a plane, went to Mississippi, and I was there by my mother's side for a whole month before she was ever even conscious where I could have a conversation with her. Because she was in and out of sedated, on an incubator like a couple times. I mean, it was constant prayer, constant support, constant being tested, constant, Lord, help me. That's another whole story. I got another whole testimony just on the experience of that month I had with him. But there was a period where she finally was conscious. I'm talking about her eyes is open and we having conversations and she was responding to me. God gave me that grace, that window of time to have with my mother. And we had conversation. And I told her things that I needed to tell her. Yeah, I've been gave my mama her flowers, but this was time to give her some more. So I told her everything I needed to tell her. But there was one thing that I was so excited to tell her. I said, Mama, Mama, I wrote the book. Mama, your boy did it. I finally did it. I wrote the book. She looking at me in the eyes. She understand. Mama, look. I wrote the book. I've never been so excited to tell my mama that I wrote the book. That was even more excited than the first time. Because she kept getting on me. But I finally told her that I wrote the book. And 2 days later, my mother passed. My mother passed. And I learned a lot from that whole experience. But I'm so glad I got to tell her before she died. I finally wrote the book. Listen, I know I have books and I sell books, but listen, it's deeper than the book. So a lot of you probably look and say, "Oh, he just selling books." No, no, no. Listen, this is kingdom business here. This is mission. This is part of my God-given assignment. Is to teach, to write, to inform. It's deeper than just writing a book. It's deeper than just selling a book. It's deeper than just saying, "Hey, I'm an author." No, I put my whole life into this. I immerse into creating things to help you. And listen, that's something that God created you to do. There's something that He put inside of you, and maybe you're trying to step forward. Maybe it took a minute for you to start, but guess what? You finally got started. Listen, the road is not necessarily going to be easy. God never told you it was going to be easy. And guess what? The devil's not going to roll out the red carpet for you just because you decided to say yes to your dream. But just because he's coming, God said, listen, in Psalms 34:19, he says, many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivers them from them all. Even Jesus said, it's going to be a lot of tribulations. You're going to go through a lot of stuff. He says, but be of good cheer because I have overcome the world. Listen, I hope this inspires you. I hope this motivates you. If you're interested in the book, I'll put the link in the description of this video. That's just what one of the things, these are the stories that are behind the whole Whatever Devil movement. I hope it bless you. Listen, make sure to share this video. Make sure to subscribe and watch this video right here and watch how that video bless you. Listen, I love you. Y'all take care. Y'all stay up. Y'all stay blessed. And always remember that the word is your life.